Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us.
Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us.
Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Hi, my name is Sam Mentinelli, and I have the honor of introducing this year's Salutatorian, Kamani Frazier. Any award for a top GPA presumes a few things about its recipient. A fierce intellect, sure. A tireless work ethic, of course. But these descriptions fail to capture the full dimension of Kamani, so let me try to give you a more complete picture. If I were to refashion myself as a high school student, I might model myself after Kamani, who's both very smart and very cool. Emerging musical artist, Kamani knows their bio. Drop of a coveted new sneaker, already in his very full calendar. Anyone cursed with being a perfectionist can recognize this trait in others. And I'm proud to count Kamani among the camp. As the de facto leader of our advisory last year, Kamani refused to let our group drop the ball on even the smallest of projects. This is why he would do something like rush out of his Audible internship to put together short movies of our group. This is how the infamous, and ultimately pennant-winning, Mighty Juice video was born. Not only is Kamani a natural leader, he is also a truly kind person who looks out for others. In class, he would try to direct the conversation to allow more reluctant sharers to participate. In advisory, he would help the freshmen graph their GPAs and even give out his cell number so students could ask for extra help if they had questions about school. One day, he even pulled me aside to let me know that another student was struggling and that he could use a little more individual attention. This is the type of person that Kamani is, and it's why Harvard is lucky to have him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's Salutatorian, Kamani Frazier.
First and foremost, I would like to welcome all the graduates, faculty, family, and friends. To say the least, there was nothing ordinary about our high school years. On the first day of our freshman induction, we witnessed what was probably our first visible solar eclipse, and our time together culminated in the conquering of a pandemic. When I look over the class of 2021, I reminisce on the bonds that we created and the laughs that we shared. Packed like sardines, we navigated halls and went to classes during a power outage. We stormed the court at our first pep rally, and we even lost many advisory competitions together. These are some of the experiences that have made our class unique. One of the things that our time in high school has proven is that if we take pride in our individuality, we gain respect for what sets each of us apart. Throughout our class, there is so much that we should be proud of. It didn't matter how hard the task, each and every one of us found a way to the finish line, and that's what's important. When I think about our class now, I see physicians, internet personalities, and even business owners. Like many teenagers, we pride ourselves in our own independence, but it is critical to know when and how to ask for help. I think back to our freshman camping trip, trying to get over a 10-foot wall with nothing but the support of our peers who are already at the top. Throughout the rest of our lives, we will be faced with similar challenges and less metaphorical obstacles. And just like we did on the trip, we will have to rely on our community for support. On a college campus, I encourage you all to adjust to new communities and find new friendships. In times of need, don't be afraid to rely on these newfound connections while also keeping contact with those who you have confided with in years present. like our veterans who've been in this race since elementary and middle schools. As a class, we should remember how important it is to find a balance between enjoying the present without losing sight of our long-term goals. Anyone who's felt exhausted after eating a large meal is familiar with the itis. This past year, some of us have experienced something very similar, senioritis. And just like someone who's exhausted after eating a large meal, many of us have become complacent after the monumental achievement of getting accepted into some of our dream colleges. My urge to you today is to remember that there is still work to be done. For many of us who are attending PWIs, we have to be the change that we want to see on our campuses. And for others, we must still boldly portray our truths no matter the occasion. These upcoming years will be full of risks, both unexpected and expected, but we are well equipped to handle whatever they have in store and to not shy away from these challenges. So as we begin on these next steps, let's never forget the good times that we shared. The fall marks our new beginnings, an initial taste of freedom. Many are choosing to pursue higher education, serve in the military, or trailblaze a new path. For your success thus far, you should be celebrated. And I wish you the best of luck in the next chapter of your journey. To my classmates, as we mount this next stage of life, remember that not everyone will be receptive to your words or your presence. However, we should meet the obstacle with courage and speak our truth regardless of the occasion. Let us be the change of century-old traditions and stand out. Let our light shine rather than to hide them. Once again, thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. I have no doubt that you will excel and achieve new heights. Remember to let your boldness and drive speak volumes through your actions. Only by doing this can we truly make a difference and forge a more united future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mr. Chen. I've gotten to know Jawad in quite a few ways these past 4 years. He was a student in my robotics class as a 9th grader, and I taught him in his CAD class for half his sophomore year as well. He's also been part of my advisory for 4 years, as well as a member of a robotics club until last March. In all these different contexts and angles that I've gotten to know Jawad, I can tell you with 100% certainty that in all these situations, Jawad is the exact same person. And I say that out of pure admiration because Jawad is real. He is humble and heartfelt, and he's confident and open. But I think if I were to put him through a distillation process to see what drives him, we would see that in his essence, Jawad is a pursuer of truth. Or, as his AP US history teacher, Mr. Miller, puts it, a pursuer of the full picture. Now, I'm not talking about how his hair took up his entire Zoom camera until February. What this does look like is easy to see in an academic sense. In AP Chemistry, Mr. Geller noticed how Jawad's study guides were routinely 4 to 5 pages, well over the 1-page requirement. Mr. Miller noticed how Jawad kept going back to find more sources to refine his thesis, and that he never settled for anything but this full picture. But Jawad's pursuit of this isn't limited to academics. Let me tell you the story of his bike. In the early days of the pandemic, Jawad was able to get a Schwinn bike after much exhaustive research. When it came, it was in pieces, and the directions, guess what? Well, they were for another bike. So Jawad spent weeks putting things together incorrectly and then tearing them back down again. You can imagine what a harrowing experience this is for someone who's gotten 3 problems wrong since kindergarten. But it got so bad, his mom suggested he take it to a bike shop. Of course, Jawad refused. In his own words, he had too much pride to take it to a bike shop and have it assembled for him. So instead, he leaned on his North Star core value of Ganbate and started to assemble his bike by researching and testing each part, piece by piece, until it finally all worked together. Jawad told me all about his frustration in painful detail for those weeks, and I'm sure it was hard. But I'm also sure he liked it. He liked the frustration and the pain. I'm sure he actually enjoyed every failure. Why? Because with every misalignment or misplacement, he got the chance to jump down another rabbit hole and learn more about what a bike really is and how each piece works. And now he knows precisely how a perfectly aligned derailleur should shift, and that knowledge to him is oxygen. See, for Jawad, there's nothing more satisfying than the pursuit of that full picture. And now that he can actually ride his bike, I know he wouldn't trade that experience for anything. I can only imagine how dissatisfied he would have been if his bike came in one piece and he just hopped on and rode off. Mr. Sherikan alluded to this when he told me recently that Jawad is that rare someone who can take something so seriously and yet also enjoy the challenge as they are working through it. For Jawad, that enjoyment of the challenge is perfectly welded to his life's purpose, which is to give back to others. In the words of his college counselor, Ms. Mukhtar, Jawad wants to get a degree to have the means to discover something that helps people and to be on the front lines of innovation. When I asked Ms. Gonzalez, Jawad's AP research teacher, about him, she emphasized his desire to conduct research that gave back and to eventually have a career that did the same. We all know that Jawad will achieve this. It's just a matter of time. This fall, Jawad will be heading west to my alma mater, Stanford University, the best university in the world. Now, it's been a long time for me, but I know that Stanford is a big, wide open place. Every day, the sunny blue sky represents infinite possibility as it stretches from the foothills to the bay. Due to the sheer size of the campus, it can take a long time to get to lectures, office hours, libraries, research labs, and back to your dorm room. Stanford is a really big place, Jawad, but I think it's perfect for getting that full picture. I hope you will bring your bike. Everyone, please welcome the valedictorian of the class of 2021, Jawad Ibrahim.
First, I would like to congratulate all students on making it through these past 4 years. Your success up to this point has been a product of your intelligence, perseverance, and determination. In our freshman and sophomore year, we adjusted to the new norms for coursework and expectations of us. As we took more APs and involved ourselves in more rigorous extracurriculars, we adjusted again. This past year and a half added another level of adversity for us to overcome. Halfway through our 11th grade year, our lives were drastically changed by the beginning of a global pandemic. Many of us were unsure how remote classes would work or if we would be able to manage the same course load while taking care of home responsibilities. Some of us had family and friends directly affected by coronavirus, but along with our amazing teachers, we adapted to this new normal, and we established new ways of supporting one another and maintaining our close-knit community. Besides the changes to our lives at school and at home, in the past 4 years, we have seen escalating social unrest and political and cultural divisions, as well as growing inequality and injustice within our nation and around the world. Between 2019 and 2021, we have seen several international crises, conflicts, and tensions develop as a result of human rights violations, government corruption, abuses of power, marginalization of ethnic and cultural minorities, and oppressive policies. The Myanmar protests, the Russia protests, Hong Kong protests, and Venezuela protests are a few of the many that come to mind. When focusing on domestic issues, we have seen Black Lives Matter protests grow in response to continued police brutality and institutional racism, as evident in the deaths of Black men and women like Breonna Taylor, Daunte Wright, and George Floyd. The most notable of these events for me was the death of George Floyd, who is now almost a full year after his death, getting some form of justice through the American legal system. As students of color, witnessing the changing socio-political atmosphere and racism that is still so heavily ingrained in American society can lead to fears about racism, and discrimination we will experience in college and beyond. Our discussions of these issues with our friends, families, and teachers in these past years have allowed us to place ourselves in context with them, and rather than ignore them, make them a meaningful part of our educational experience. The trials we have encountered in our time at North Star have taught us all the meaning of the phrase, education is freedom. Taking AP courses since 9th grade, being a student athlete, being in the robotics club or debate club, and leading projects are many of the ways that you have all gone above and beyond. Education has allowed us to be free and not constrained by socioeconomic conditions that would, under normal circumstances, limit our agency and our ability to control our future. We have seen across the world that one's right to education is not always guaranteed, and in many places it is regarded as a luxury rather than a basic human right. When we see those deprived of education risking their lives to obtain it, the education we receive here becomes all the more valuable. It becomes essential that we do everything in our power to educate ourselves and seek out knowledge to empower ourselves, empower others who do not have a voice. I hope that in your future endeavors and throughout the rest of your academic career, your eagerness to learn and desire to succeed only grows. As all of you are well aware, greater obstacles await you in the professional world, but I am confident that you will triumph just as easily as you did at WPHS. When I reflect on the ways I have grown as a student and as a person, I am reminded of the analogy between our education and a long, winding road. In our journey from point A to point B, we have built endurance and experience so that with each upcoming segment, we traverse with more speed and confidence. I would like to also emphasize that although many of us will be moving out of state, no matter where we go, we remain inexorably tied to Newark and our community. The way we present ourselves to the rest of the world is not only a reflection on us, but the community we came from and people of color in general. I am beyond confident that this class will be responsible for great change in the world, since all of you have the brains and will to do so.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm excited to present the Founder Scholarship. The Founder Scholarship is awarded to a student of exceptional character, a student who embodies our core values of professionalism, reflection, integrity, determination, and enthusiasm. This student also demonstrates commitment to their education and are living out our mission to give back to others and persevere in the face of adversity. This scholarship is for $1,000 and is renewable up to 4 years of college. The class of 2021 has had a senior year like no other. They have been faced with almost an entire year in remote learning due to the global pandemic. No one could have predicted any of this, but that has not stopped them from shining brightly. When choosing this year's recipients, we had a hard time narrowing down our nominations because there were so many deserving seniors. This year, we are honored to be able to award 2 students with the Founders Scholarship. This first recipient is the embodiment of hard work, commitment, and a positive attitude. She is driven by uplifting her community at home, at her church, and at North Star. As the eldest sister in her family, she spends a lot of time helping her younger siblings with homework and always puts their needs before her own. She has become a leader in her youth ministry and is consistently involved in her church. Moreover, at North Star, she has immersed herself in volunteer work through the Give Back to Others project, where she cheerfully tutored younger students at the local YMCA. She has also found an outlet to express her culture and creativity through being a proud member of the Afro dance team. In addition to uplifting those around her, this student is inspiring in her ceaseless dedication to bettering herself. Since the sudden shift to online learning last March, this student has actually improved in all of her classes and maintained honor roll through her senior year. She is also fiercely passionate about STEM and joined Girls Who Code last summer during the pandemic, where she excelled in her passion, computer science. Despite any challenges that came during COVID-19, this student remained focused in her growth and success. This student truly embodies our core values and is committed to her education and her community. She handles every day with contagious, cheerful optimism. Congratulations to this year's Founder Scholarship recipient, Franklina Smith. The second recipient of the Founder Scholarship is a student who has attended North Star since elementary school. He is laser focused and driven, but he was not always this way. This young man has matured into a role model for others by being the master of multitasking. He has successfully learned how to balance his time in and out of school. As someone who is very reflective of their own journey through North Star, they have flourished into someone who will most definitely leave his legacy behind. I have had the privilege to work with this student firsthand over the last year through his college process, and I have been nothing but impressed by their professionalism and integrity. He was determined to make his college experience the most affordable for his family to lessen the burden on his parents because of his other siblings. Many of our staff and students have interacted with him as a businessman at our school. He ensures quality and satisfaction in his products and always exudes these traits. Given the unique and severe challenges that COVID-19 has presented our students, it would have been easy for this student to lose sight of his academic progress. However, this was not the case for this student. Not only did he earn a weighted GPA of 4.68 during quarter one, he also became much more responsible with his classwork and his self-advocacy. This student gives back to his community in untraditional ways. He has taken on the role at his local diner to support small businesses. He has proudly learned every job at the diner to ensure they always have the help they need during these challenging times. This student and his best friend even created a business to ensure his peers and community have a way to express themselves through their clothing. This company represents people in his community that embrace being unique within today's modern social structures. I know he will continue to bring the same values to Montclair State University in the fall as he embarks in his collegiate journey. I am honored to present this award to Tyler Aboage.
I am so excited and honored to present the Jamie Verrilli Scholarship. This scholarship is awarded annually at graduation to a North Star Academy senior who is highly likely to succeed, change history, and give back to others. This scholarship is a $15,000 award that is to be used by the recipient to offset any college-related direct or indirect costs. This year's Verrilli Scholarship recipient is, upon first meeting her, seemingly quiet. What becomes very clear, though, after just one interaction or a Zoom class, is her unsurmountable focus, dependability, and drive. Her teachers describe her as committed, consistent, and a leader in class that excels and uplifts those around her. She is the one that sits up, is always engaged, and has thoughtful responses to share and draw her peers into discussion. This student is not only driven to better herself through academics and education, but is fiercely passionate about uplifting those around her. As an advisory leader last year, she often mentored and checked in regularly with peers who were struggling. She made it her duty to make sure everyone in her advisory had above a 3.0 GPA. This meant she pushed herself outside of her quiet comfort zone to be confident in having tough but productive conversations with her peers. This mindset of uplifting others expanded beyond North Star and into her community. Since 2016, this student has been regularly involved in her church's youth group, where she plans and executes weekly community service events, like donating clothing and giving food to the homeless. On top of that, she spends most of her time after school and on weekends looking after her younger cousins, and she's very close to her mother and her older brother. I thought I knew this student pretty well. Driven, kind, pretty quiet. Last year, however, during pep rally, I saw her step. We saw her step. She blew us all away. On top of her academic success an uplifting, community-driven mindset, she dominated the stage during a step performance. I learned later just how many hours of practice, choreography, mentorship, and mental strength it takes to be in so-so step. And she encompassed everything. I am excited for this student to carry her drive, determination, focus, and kindness into her future path. This student, Lady Encore herself, will be studying molecular biology at Tulane University next year. Congratulations to this year's Jamie Verrilli Scholarship winner, Merle Spurgos.